Good afternoon, everybody. Phil Simons with Columbia Grain here in your Friday afternoon weekly grain market recap. Well, we actually had a second consecutive week of positive gains in the futures. Although we did take a little bit of that back here today, we did wind the week up with net gains across the board. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. And let's navigate over to our favorite website, columbiagrain.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, we can go over to the Producer Solutions tab. And that'll take us over to our Producer Solutions links here. Again, we did have an abbreviated week as we did have a holiday on tap on Monday, so we didn't get things kicked off until Tuesday. So as a result, we did see the export sales come out here this morning. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what that was actually coming in at. But from last week's numbers, corn and soybeans had some really pretty strong numbers here in terms of export sales last week. But overall, corn had 71.7 million bushels sold on the week last week, which is a very healthy number. Great to see. That we just would like to see that continue going forward. When we look at soybeans, we came in at 60.9 million bushels. Again, definitely at the higher end of the anticipated numbers that we would have seen here this morning. So definitely nice to see in that regard. When we look at the all class of wheats, numbers came in at 12.5 million bushels, and then you can see how it's broken down by class. 12.5 million bushels was actually at the lighter end of where the estimates were coming in at. Again, as we were taking a little bit of a backseat to corn and bean sales in terms of with the wheat classes. It's important to note here too that we show negative numbers for current crop year. Given that this week's report was actually from last week's activity, when we get to next week, we'll actually be now as in terms of new crop will be the 24-25 crop year. So today's numbers actually did represent where we actually wound the week, the marketing year for 23-24. So again, just kind of interesting to note there. The other thing that was going on here this week, again, as we did mention that we did have a little bit of an abbreviated week. We didn't really get things started until Tuesday. But again, we did have a net positive gain across the board. We did give a little bit of that back here today. So again, just really highlighting the importance of having your orders out there and working, because you can see that Dees corn specifically, we had an overall weekly range of 18 cents. We're actually only able to hold on to 6 cents of that overall range. When we look at new crop Nove beans, we actually had a 36-cent range there. And when the dust settled, we were actually able to hold on, but we're only able to hold on to 5 cents. We did see the markets actually swing rather dramatically in new crop soybeans there here today. When we look at the wheat classes, kind of similar. Kansas Dees, we had a 38-cent range, actually able to hold on to 12 cents there. Chicago Dees, we had a 38-cent range as well, actually able to hold on to 15 cents over in that pit. And when we look at Minneapolis, we had a 36-cent range, and we were actually able to hold on to 14 cents week on week. So again, definitely nice to see 2 consecutive weeks of positive movement. But again, we did give quite a bit of a lot of it back here today. Speaking of that, it's never too early to really look at new crop opportunities. And I wanted to highlight a couple of things here. As we say, we want to reward the rallies. And I'm going to look specifically at Chicago wheat. Just because it does look very, interesting here in terms of a chart perspective. But we look at September wheat for Chicago, and you could say the same thing for corn, for beans, for Kansas City wheat, and Minneapolis wheat as well. But again, it's never too early to look at, where do we want to start looking at pricing new crop? We look at the pricing activity that we've seen. I mean, yes, we have taken an awful lot out of the markets here, but over the last, week and a half to 2 weeks, we have seen the markets rebound rather dramatically from the recent lows. And again, similar of this chart is what you could overlay this to Kansas or Minneapolis as well. But realistically, Chicago September has gained about 60 cents, or it's had a 60-cent range here from the most recent low to the most recent high. And when you look at it from a technical perspective, we really do want to have our orders out there and working because of these knee-jerk reactions that we're seeing. So have some pricing orders out there for hedge to arrives or accumulators, specifically looking at Chicago wheat, again, in kind of like a stair-step pattern. But, if we were to throw some in at 625, and then again at 650, and then again a little bit over $7, kind of where these yellow arrows are pointing at, because we have seen these values, provide a lot of resistance. So maybe we will get back to those types of levels. But if we do, just trying to highlight the importance of actually pulling the trigger, or at least having the orders out there and to take advantage of any types of knee-jerk reactions. So again, just trying to highlight the importance from a technical perspective, where to really start looking at layering some orders in there. When we look at the technicals a little bit more, we do look like we are a little bit to the overbought side now. In Chicago, same thing could be said in Kansas City and Minneapolis as well. So we may see a little bit more of a retreat here, but again, an idea to have some pricing orders out there. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up for the week here. I do want to make sure that everybody has a great weekend. And remember, the market will do whatever is necessary to fool the majority. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk with you next week.